Hello again. I apologize for the delay in this post, but this will be the part 2 of Hidden Figures, the true story of 4 black women and the space race. Now that we read the story, we're going to look at the biography and timeline in the back. So, here's the timeline. And the first event says, the Wright brothers make the first powered flight in 1903. The second event says, federal government establishes the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NACA. The third event says, 1935, first female computers are hired at Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory. And then in 1943, 2 things happened. Dorothy Vaughan starts working at NACA, where she stays until 1971, and first African-American female computers are hired at Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory. Then in 1951, Mary Jackson starts working at the NACA, where she stays until 1985. In 1953, Katherine Johnson starts working at NACA, where she stays until 1986. In 1954, Supreme Court Brown versus Board of Education decision rules that it is unconstitutional to have separate schools for black and white students. In 1957, Soviet Union launches the Sputnik satellite. In 1958, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, replaces NACA. In 1961, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin orbits Earth. In 1962, John Glenn orbits Earth. In 1967, Christine Darden starts working at NASA, where she stays until 2007. And then in 1969, Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin become the first humans to land on the moon. Now here's a brief biography of Dorothy Johnson Vaughan. It says, meet the computers. Dorothy Johnson Vaughan, from 1910 to 2008. Dorothy was born September 20th, 1910 in Kansas City, Missouri. She and her family moved to West Virginia when she was 8. Dorothy received a full scholarship to Wilberforce University, a historically black college in Ohio, where she graduated at age 19 with a degree in mathematics education. She married Howard Vaughan in 1932, and they had 6 children. After college, Dorothy worked as a high school math teacher in Farmville, Virginia. In 1943, she began her job at Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory in Hampton, Virginia. She worked as a mathematician and computer, later becoming NASA's first African-American supervisor. When machine computers were introduced at Langley, Dorothy learned the programming language Fortran, and taught it to her staff. She died in 2008 at age 98 years old. Mary Winston Johnson, 1921 to 2005. Mary was born on April 9th, 1921 in Hampton, Virginia. She graduated with highest honors from the all-black Phoenix High School, then graduated from Hampton Institute in 1942 with degrees in mathematics and physical science. She taught math at an all-black high school in Maryland for a year before taking a job as a bookkeeper back in her hometown. She married Levi Jackson Sr., and they had 2 children. Mary began work as a computer at Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory in 1951. She worked in a supersonic wind tunnel, studying the impact of wind forces that were nearly twice the speed of sound. In order to be promoted to engineer, She needed to take graduate-level courses in physics and math. She had to petition the city of Hampton, Virginia, for permission to attend classes because they were held at a whites-only high school. She completed the classes in 1958 and became the first female African-American aerospace engineer at NASA. Later in her career, Mary took a position in NASA's Equal Opportunity Office, where she worked to support the careers of other women and minorities. She volunteered for more than 30 years as a Girl Scout leader, and she died in 2005 at the age of 83. Catherine Coleman Gobble Johnson, 1918 to, we don't know. Catherine was born on August 26, 1918, in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Her community did not offer public school for African Americans after 8th grade, so her family arranged for her to attend the high school run by West Virginia State Institute, 125 miles away. She completed high school at age 14 and went to West Virginia State College, graduating summa cum laude at age 18 with degrees in mathematics and French. In 1939, she married her first husband, Jimmy Gobble, and they had 3 children. Jimmy Gobble died of a brain tumor in 1956. Catherine married James Johnson in 1959. Catherine taught high school math before beginning work as a computer in Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory in Hampton, Virginia in 1953. Her expertise in analytical geometry earned her place in the Flight Research Division. She worked on the flight trajectories, the flight paths for Project Mercury, the program that sent the first American astronauts into space. Astronaut John Glenn specifically requested that Catherine double-check the computer's calculations of his spacecraft orbit around the Earth. She also contributed calculations to the 1969 Apollo 11 mission to the moon. And last but not least, Dr. Christine MannDarden. Christine was born on September 10th, 1942, in Monroe, North Carolina. She had an early interest in understanding how things worked, and as a child, she repeatedly took apart and rebuilt her bicycle. She graduated as high school valedictorian in 1958. She went to Hampton Institute on a scholarship and graduated in 1962 with a degree in mathematics education. In 1963, she married Walter Darden Jr. She had 2 children and briefly taught high school math. She earned a master's degree in aerosol physics from Virginia State University. And then she earned her doctorate in mechanical engineering from George Washington University in 1973. In 1967, Christine Darden began working at Langley. She became an expert on sonic booms, the sound associated with shock waves created when an object travels through the air faster than the speed of sound. And she designed a computer program that could simulate sonic booms and helped improve designs of aircraft flying at supersonic speeds. Very impressed with these women. And we'll quickly read the author's note to end this second part of the read aloud. So the author's note says, when I first started working on the original Hidden Figures book, I had no idea it would become a New York Times bestseller or be embraced with enthusiasm all over America by people of different ages, genders, races, ethnicities, classes, professional backgrounds, and political persuasions. But then again, when the first 5 Black women took their places in the West Area Computing Office at the Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory in 1943, they had no way of knowing that those first steps would eventually help our country get to the moon. Hidden Figures is very much a work of imagination, the kind of imagination that it took to believe that it was possible to orbit a person around the Earth. The same kind of imagination that led Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to dream of an America that would bestow the blessings of democracy on all its citizens, regardless of what they look like, where they came from, or who others perceived them to be. It's my hope that the heroines of Hidden Figures will spark the imaginations of the next generation of readers and the next generation of scientists, mathematicians, and engineers, and encourage them to ride with their dreams as high as their talent and determination will take them. So I hope you take that message from the author, and I hope that it sparks your imaginations. Until next time.